Hello family, welcome back. This Saturday we're going to cook some meals. Now this video is going to start off with two dinners I cooked prior to my daughter getting sick, going into the hospital. I'm going to include that in here, and then when we come back in present time, I'm going to show you what we're having for dinner tonight. Hello family, welcome back. If you're new here, welcome. I am Vicki and you're with Grammy in the Kitchen. So this is a video we dedicate to Saturday for a week of meals. Although it is going to get sporadic because sometimes I'm going to be home with my husband. Sometimes I'm going to be in North Carolina with my kids. Let me show you the two dinners we cooked together right now. So this is the beginning of the week. We are going to make spaghetti with meatballs. I took out 2 pounds of hamburger from the freezer and I gave the husband some choices. Hamburger steaks with gravy, mashed potatoes, meatloaf, or spaghetti with meatballs. He chose spaghetti with meatballs. So we got 2 pounds of hamburger. We're going to go ahead and make meatballs, put those in the oven, then we'll get started on the homemade pasta sauce. So I'm going to make a panade, which is like a bread liquid mush to go into the meatballs. So I have some saltine crackers. So I have about 15 saltine crackers in this bowl. I'm going to add about 1/4 cup of milk. I want the crackers soaking in milk, so I'm going to add a little bit more. We want to break those up into little bitty pieces because we don't want to bite into a meatball and bite into a cracker. I'm going to set that aside and let it soak up that milk. Now this is some ground beef that we got from Lidl's. And it's organic ground beef, 85-15 lean. No antibiotics, no added hormones, gluten-free, non-GMO. Let's go ahead and add about 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, about 1/2 to 3/4 teaspoon of oregano, and the same with basil, 1/2 to 3/4 teaspoon. We're going to add 1 egg. We're going to get in here and mix it up with our hands. All right, let's go ahead and add the cracker milk mixture. Perfect. I believe it's a 9 by 13 casserole dish. We're going to make these about a golf ball size. You can make them as big or as little as you like. And the reason I'm doing 2 pounds is that if we have any leftover, it could go into the freezer for a future meal. Well, I got everything dirty. Hands are dirty, the countertop is dirty, everything's dirty from making meatballs. If I can double the batch and get in the freezer, that's a win-win for a future meal. Alright, looks like we have 21 meatballs. Let me wash my hands really quick. Now this is a restaurant hack. Put a little bit of water in your pan. Just enough to cover the bottom. So we're going to put this in a 350 degrees and cook it until it reaches 160 degrees. Ground beef needs to be 160 degrees. So in the oven, I'll let you know how long that takes. And in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and work on the pasta sauce, or as some people call it, Sunday gravy. So we're going to start off with a couple tablespoons of olive oil. I do have the flame on medium. Let's put in 1 cup of diced onions. And we're going to saute that just a bit, just to soften those onions, cook them. Then we're going to add 2 garlic pucks. Cook that until you can smell the aroma of the garlic. Then we'll add all of our tomato products. The onions have been cooking for about 10 minutes. We'll go ahead and put in the garlic. Three tablespoons of tomato paste. And the rest of that can we went ahead and put in the freezer in parchment paper to add it to the other tomato paste we have in there. Two 14.5-ounce cans of diced tomatoes. 2 15-ounce cans of tomato sauce. A half cup of water. We're just going to swish it into the can. A half a teaspoon of pepper. 1 teaspoon of salt. 2 teaspoons of Italian seasoning. And we're going to start off with 2 teaspoons of brown sugar. That just helps with the acidity level of tomatoes. Turn that down to a medium-low. And we're just going to let that simmer for 30 minutes. Take the stick blender, puree it, taste it again, and add any spices or herbs that we need to add at that time. Right. 30 minutes. Check on the meatballs. Oh, they're looking beautiful. So over here I have some water boiling. We're going to add a good pinch of salt. The best way to season your pasta is to season the water. So we're adding a good pinch of salt, mixing that in. Once it comes to a boil, I'm adding 1 pound of pasta. And you're probably thinking, a pound of pasta? Grammy, you never do a pound of pasta. I know, but I'm doing it today because I need this meal to definitely last 2, possibly 3 days. I've got a busy weekend coming up, and I just need this to last us. So I don't have to get into the kitchen and cook dinner. We do not mind eating leftovers. We eat leftovers all the time. We eat our food until it's gone. So I need this to last. 2 pounds of hamburger for meatballs, a big pot of sauce, and 1 pound of pasta. And we're doing spaghetti today. All right, let's check on the sauce. Oh yeah. It's coming to a simmer, so we're just going to let it simmer for 30 minutes. The water is boiling. Let's go ahead and drop in the spaghetti. We're going to cook it until it's al dente, but just a little bit more. Should take about 7 minutes. Perfect time to get working on the pasta sauce. I'm going to turn the flame off. And then we're just going to take the stick blender and blend it. Let's taste it for seasoning. Perfect. We don't need to do anything. I'm going to put the lid back on. Leave the burner off and just let it sit there while we're waiting on the spaghetti and the meatballs. We'll put this pot to the back so it can stay warm. And I do want to make an Alfredo sauce. We're actually going to be making a pink sauce for our pasta, and that's a white sauce, which we're making Alfredo. You can use the bechamel, whatever you like, and the red sauce. So the two sauces together is going to make a pink sauce. So I'm going to put in a tablespoon of butter. And I took the heavy cream out of the freezer a couple days ago. That's the reason I'm making Alfredo sauce. I was planning on making a new batch of sour cream because the last one was a fail. But I don't have time to do that. So we're actually going to use this to make an Alfredo sauce to make a pink sauce for our pasta. I'm going to go ahead and check the temperature of the meatballs. I don't think they're ready. They're only reading 140 degrees back in the oven until they reach us 160 degrees. I'm going to add 2 cups or a pint of heavy cream to our melted butter. Let's go ahead and add some salt and some pepper. So we're going to add a half a teaspoon of garlic powder. I know we have garlic in our pasta sauce, but if you know me, you know I love garlic. Let that warm up and then we'll add some Parmesan cheese. Let's check on our pasta. It's almost done. Got the burner turned off. But I'm going to leave it in there for just a few more minutes so it can continue to cook in that hot water. Went ahead and grated some Parmesan cheese. I want to put about a good cup in here. I'm eyeballing it. And we're just going to stir that until it melts. And that is it for Alfredo sauce, family. Heavy cream, butter, Parmesan cheese, and a little bit of salt and pepper. And if you want onion powder, garlic powder, or any kind of seasoning, go right ahead. It'll be fine. Okay, we have all the components right here except for the meatballs. So I have a pound of cooked spaghetti. I did drain the water and rinse the pasta. We're going to add some pasta sauce. and the Alfredo sauce. Might not need it all, but we'll see. Get that mixed in. Let's go for it. Let's just put it all in there. Look at that, family. Oh, that's beautiful. I'm going to set this aside, and I want you to check on the meatballs. They have been in the oven for 1 hour. They are done. So I have the oven turned off. I'm just going to add 12 meatballs right here on top of our pasta. And the rest I'm just going to put it in a bowl, let them cool off. If we end up using this for the pasta, that's okay. If we don't, I will put this in the freezer. Like I said, I wanted this meal to last 2 to 3 days. Do not dump this down your sink, family. And the rest of the sauce I'm going to put in mason jars, stick it in the refrigerator. I do have plans for this in the next day or two, but if you make too much pasta sauce and it's not really enough to can, but you don't want it to go to waste, you can actually let this cool off completely, put it in your freezer. Then when you're ready to use it, you'll take it out of the freezer, put it in the refrigerator until it thaws, and you have pasta sauce ready. And once these cool off, I'll put a lid on them and stick them in the refrigerator. And if we don't use these meatballs, I'll put that in the refrigerator. And then if we're definitely not going to use it and we run out of pasta, they will go into the freezer. Spaghetti with meatballs and a pink sauce. Make sure we get a couple meatballs. Look at that, family. Now, in the time it took to cook those meatballs in the oven, we've made a marinara sauce or a pasta sauce. We made Alfredo. We cooked our spaghetti. We even have extra pasta sauce for future use. Either keep in the refrigerator and use within the next 5 days or put into the freezer. But in that 1 hour, we got a lot accomplished. Let's taste that spaghetti with the pink sauce. That is so good. That is the best of both worlds. Alfredo and pasta sauce. The meatballs are firm but moist. That cracker and milk panade actually adds a lot of moisture to ground meat. And baking them instead of frying them on the stovetop, they taste better. They don't taste oily or burnt. Really, really good. That's what we're going to have for at least 3 days. Hopefully, fingers crossed. As soon as the sauce cools down, I'll put that in the refrigerator. The meatballs will go into the refrigerator unless we end up using those. But that's what we're having for dinner tonight. I can't wait to see you the next time we come in the kitchen and make a delicious meal together. So simple, so easy. Oh, I need to call the husband in here so we can sit down and eat dinner. So today we're going to be cooking some baked chicken. The chickens that we got on sale that we cut up into fryer parts. I gave the husband a choice. How did he want them cooked? He chose just baked with some simple ingredients. So that's what we're going to do. So I took one of our packs of our frozen cut up chicken, minus the chicken wings because we saved those in a separate bag for when we want wings. So this has thighs, drumsticks, and breast. Took that out of the freezer a couple days ago, had it sitting in the refrigerator. Now we're ready to get it seasoned and get it in the oven. We're gonna go ahead and get started on our seasoned blend. So I'm gonna put a teaspoon of salt, a half a teaspoon of pepper, a teaspoon of garlic powder, a teaspoon of onion powder, a teaspoon of rosemary, and a teaspoon of thyme. Get that well blended. I do want to pat all these dry. So I have the large cast iron skillet in the oven heating up to 400 degrees. That way the pan is hot before we put the chicken in it and we'll get a nice sear. I'm not going to put no oil or anything in this pan. I do want to take some of our seasoned blend, put it right on top of that chicken. Let's listen to that sizzle. Season side down. And now we're going to season the other side. And a 400 degrees, I'm not sure how long this is going to take. We're going to give it about 30 minutes. We'll check on it. We'll flip the chicken pieces to cook the other side. And we'll continue to cook it until it reaches 165 degrees for breast, 175 degrees for the legs and thighs. All right, let me go ahead and clean my station up. So the other components to this dinner is going to be some mashed potatoes. We stuck these in the freezer last week from leftover when we did our fried chicken thighs. I went ahead and took those out and we'll let those thaw. And we're going to have some green beans. And then I decided I'm going to go ahead and make a lava cake. We made an instant mix together. And this is our chocolate lava cake. And we need to weigh that out and just put water and vanilla. Everything else is in there. Get that in the oven, and that needs to cook for an hour. Figured while the chicken's in the oven, we can go ahead and make a dessert also. I have a 10-inch cast iron skillet. I do want to coat it with some butter. Perfect. I have a bowl on the kitchen scale, tear it out to 0 in grams. We need 352 grams of our mix, a half a cup of water. The last time it did take a little bit more. We have powdered milk in here, so all we have to do is add water, not milk. 2 teaspoons of vanilla. All right, so 352 grams. Perfect. And it should be enough in here to do one more before we have to make another one of those. Let's go ahead and add some water. I do have a cup of water in this coffee cup right here, just in case we need more than the half cup. We want a thick batter, but we don't want it too thick. More like a pancake batter consistency. That is perfect. So it took about 3/4 of a cup of water. Let's go ahead and put in 2 teaspoons of vanilla. That looks good. Go ahead and put that in our prepared pan. One of our already prepared package. This is, if I'm not mistaken, it's been a while, chocolate chips, white sugar, brown sugar, and cocoa powder. Sprinkle that right on the top. And I have 1 3/4 cups of hot water. And that is it. I'm enjoying having these already made with the powdered milk. That way we only have to add water to it. So I don't have to bring out the sugar and the cocoa powder and the chocolate chips and all the things. It's all ready for us. A 1/2 cup to 3/4 cup of water for the batter, and 1 3/4 cups of hot water for the top. It's all we have to do. So this is going to go in the oven for an hour, and the chicken smells delicious. I'm like, we already have the oven on. We might as well make a dessert also. In a few more minutes, we're going to take that chicken out. We're going to turn it and then cook it a little bit more. I am guessing it's going to take an hour, but I will let you know how long that takes. We have that chicken in a 400-degree oven in a very hot cast iron skillet. So we're not warming the skillet and cooking the chicken at the same time. The skillet's hot. All we got to really do is cook the chicken. So I'm thinking about an hour, but I will let you know how long that takes. Everything else is going to come together super simple. Mashed potatoes are ready, just needs to be heated up. And the green beans is pretty much open the can, throw some salt and pepper, a little bit of butter. I have bacon grease. With a little bit of bacon grease, and then that's dinner. Okay, it's been 30 minutes, might even be 35 minutes since we put the chicken in the oven. Let's go ahead and give it a flip. It smells so good. You can smell that rosemary and that thyme. It smells so good. All right, back in the oven. We'll check it again in 30 minutes. So we have the chicken right there and the lava cake right there. Lava cake's been in there for about 30 minutes. The chicken's been in there about 35, 40 minutes as of right now. And we're just gonna let that continue to cook until the chicken's done, the lava cake's done. As for the mashed potatoes, they are still frozen. And I have 5 mashed potato balls, mashed potato mounds, whatever they're called. And I'm just gonna put that on the stovetop because heat comes out of the back of that stovetop from the oven and it'll thaw it out a little faster. And the green beans, we're just gonna open them. We're gonna put a pinch of pepper, a good pinch of salt. This is bacon grease from the last time we cooked bacon together. I'm going to put a couple tablespoons in here. That's all we're going to do with the green beans. And when it gets closer for that chicken to get done, we'll turn the burners on for the mashed potatoes and the green beans, heat those up, and then dinner will be ready. The chicken has been in the oven for 1 hour. Let's go ahead and tempt it, make sure it is done or if it needs to cook a little bit longer. That is a piece of breast meat. That is reading 165 degrees. Let's check a thigh. When you go in, you want to make sure you're not getting bone. Hitting the bone will give you a false reading. That is way over 180. That is perfect. Oh, family, it smells so good. Let's check a drumstick. That is reading over 180. This chicken is done. I do want to leave it in here just so it stays nice and hot. Let's go ahead and get our mashed potatoes heated. I'm going to turn it to a medium-low. The green beans, I'm going to turn that on a medium-low. Mashed potatoes are still a little bit frozen, but it's okay. They'll thaw very well in this hot pan in no time at all. Once these are heated up, dinner will be ready. And the lava cake is done. It's been in the oven for 55 minutes. That's done. Chicken is done. We're still waiting on the potatoes to heat up and the green beans to heat up. And then we are done, family. Since the mashed potatoes are cooked, they're just frozen, we thawed them out just a bit. We want to make sure it's not sticking to the bottom and burning, so we need to constantly stir it and keep it moving. But all we're really doing is heating them up. If your family is like my family and we enjoy mashed potatoes, but I don't necessarily enjoy making them every time, having them frozen is perfect. Now, if you're wondering what foods you can freeze and what foods you cannot freeze, walk down the freezer aisle of your grocery store. I'm not saying buy it, but just walk down and look, see what is freezable and what is not. And if you can find things that are frozen, then that means you can make it and freeze it yourself. You can find frozen biscuits. You can make your own biscuits and stick them in the freezer. So when you make biscuits, just make a double, triple, quadruple batch and get them in your freezer. Mashed potatoes you can buy frozen. You can make those yourself. French toast, pancakes, all of these things freeze very well. So if there's something that your family really enjoys eating, but you don't necessarily enjoy making it each and every time, if you can buy it pre-made, frozen, then you can make it and freeze it yourself. Just use the grocery store freezer aisle as a guide of what you can freeze, because you can freeze a lot of things. Summer is right around the corner, and kids will be out of school and doing other activities with family and friends, but you still need to get dinner on the table. So whenever you make something, double that batch and stick it in a casserole dish or in a Ziploc bag or something and put it in the freezer. That way, when things are busy and you don't have time to cook a homemade scratch meal, you have something in your freezer to fall back on. Lasagna, make double batch, stick one in the freezer. Pasta sauce, if you make pasta sauce but you don't can it, make a big pot of it and put it in either mason jars or in freezer bags. Stick it in your freezer. That way you have the things ready when you don't have time to get in the kitchen and cook from scratch. The green beans are boiling. That's perfect. mashed potatoes are thawing out beautiful. And I do like extra butter in my potatoes, so I'm going to put in another tablespoon of butter. We put a stick of butter in our mashed potatoes when we made those, and I just like extra butter. All right, in less than 5 more minutes, dinner will be ready. Let's go ahead and remove the chicken from this pan. This should be enough for the husband to have for dinner tonight, lunch tomorrow, and possibly dinner tomorrow night. Now you're probably looking at this pan and thinking, whoa, there's some burnt bits on there. My cast iron skillets are super seasoned, so this will come off really easy. So I just have hot water running, a steel wool scrubber, and I'm just going to scrub it. No soap, nothing, just water and steel wool. That is all it takes to clean a well-seasoned cast iron skillet. I'm taking a paper towel to dry it off because I do not want it to rust. So you're probably asking yourself, why don't you clean it with soap and water? Soap will actually strip off all the season that we did to this pan to make it a non-stick pan. When I get my pans, first thing I do is I do wash it with soap and water, dry it really well. I coat the inside, the outside, the handles, everything with coconut oil, put it in a 400-degree oven for about 30 minutes. Once it cools off, I take a paper towel and I wipe off any of the excess oils. And each time I use it, such as we used it for chicken, the oils that I'm cooking also penetrates this pan and continues to let it be non-stick. If I were to use soap and water each time I use my cast iron, I would have to re-season it each and every time. Now you're probably saying, Grammy, what about cross-contamination? You cooked chicken in it. Yes, I did. But whatever I'm cooking in my cast iron skillet, the skillet is getting above 180 degrees, which chicken is 175 degrees to keep from bacteria in the chicken, to kill any bacteria in the chicken. So my pans are getting higher than 160, 180 degrees. So any bacteria that is in my pan will be killed and it will not cross-contaminate other foods. You do not have to wash your cast iron skillet with soap and water each time you use it. Just hot water, a steel wool scrub pad, scrub it really well, dry it really well, and the next time you cook, you're going to heat your pan up anyway, and you're going to kill any bacteria that's in here. I have been using cast iron skillets for way over 40 years. And I have yet got sick from cooking with my cast iron skillets. It is a great way to get additional iron in your diet also. And since the oven is hot, I'm just going to store it in there to make sure it's completely dry. Well, dinner is ready. So we have our mashed potatoes, our green beans, our chicken, and the lava cake. Let's give the potatoes another stir. Oh, beautiful family. Absolutely gorgeous. Let's go ahead and make a plate. So that's a chicken thigh. Oh, that chicken smells so good. Some mashed potatoes. And some green beans. So the chicken actually took 1 hour. The lava cake took 55 minutes. Mashed potatoes came together super simple. The green beans was just open up a can and enjoy. We know the mashed potatoes are good because we cooked those last week. And we just stuck them in the freezer. Green beans are always good, easy to heat up. But let's taste the chicken. That is perfectly seasoned. It's not dry. Oh, family, that is so good. And then after dinner, we'll have some lava cake. That's what we're having for dinner tonight. I'm gonna call the husband in here. We're gonna sit down at the table and have dinner. I can't wait till the next time we get in the kitchen. And don't worry, I'll bring you along with me. And tonight, I came home for one night. So it's Saturday, I am home. I'm cooking dinner for the husband and myself. We're also gonna cook tomorrow so he can have leftovers to get him through a couple days. And then he's gotta fend for himself. But we're gonna have hamburgers tonight. We was gonna cook on the grill, but we decided we didn't want to. So we're just gonna cook them in the house. I have the air fryer right there. We're gonna cook some French fries. And if you saw the video from the Azure order for May of 2024, you can see where we made some ranch dressing dip, because I like that on my hamburgers and with my French fries. So let's go ahead and get this video started. Now when we grated the pepper jack cheese, I left one of those rectangles and I cut them into slices. They're irregular, but that's okay. We're gonna have pepper jack cheese on our hamburgers. So this is a pound of local grown butchered hamburger. That should be enough for the husband and myself. So I'm gonna put in, this is a 1/4 teaspoon measure. I'm gonna put a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, a 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder, and a 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder. Just something simple. Let's mix that in really well. All right, now we're gonna do a rough divide into 4 sections. And now we have 4 patties. I'm going to turn it down to a medium-low. And as for the French fries, we're using store-bought crinkle fries. I'm putting this in the air fryer so we don't have to turn the oven on. We're probably going to cook these about 5 minutes on each side until they're well done. Internal temperature needs to be 160 degrees. The hamburger is going to tell us when it needs to be flipped. Don't force flip your hamburgers, especially in a cast iron skillet, because it wants to stick. But once that beef gets a little caramelization on the bottom, it releases from the pan and then they'll flip and you won't have broken burgers. It's a good tip to keep in mind when you're cooking hamburgers in a pan on the stove. So I'm going to let these continue to cook until they reach 160 degrees. I'll bring you right back when we're ready to put the cheese on it and those fries are ready. So let's check the temperature of our hamburgers. The French fries are still cooking. So we're going to go at it on the side. That way we get more meat on the thermometer. And we are reading way over 160 degrees. We are done. So I have some pepper jack cheese. Let's put a hamburger on this bun. That's for the husband. And if we don't eat all 4 of these tonight, that is fine. We'll have lunch tomorrow. But I am planning on cooking before I go back to North Carolina. And we're just using Pepperidge Farms sesame seed buns. Something easy and simple. French fries in the air fryer are done. Scoop some on my plate. The rest on the husband's plate. There we go. And he put some Arby's barbecue sauce on his burger. Ketchup for his French fries. And this is the ranch dressing we made when we were talking about our Azure order. Let's put some of that on our burger. And some right here on this side for the French fries. Perfectly cooked. The right amount seasonings, delicious. French fries and that ranch dressing, delicious. Now we're going to sit down and have dinner. So the last thing I am going to cook before I get on the road to go back to North Carolina is some chicken. I have the sun oven outside warming up in the sun, and this is one of our packs of frozen whole chickens that we cut up minus the wings. I just want to put some seasoning on them, put them in a casserole dish, and put it outside in the sun oven. I'm thinking about an hour and a half to 2 hours, and then we'll have dinner. And maybe open up a can of baked beans. How does that sound? So this is just some chicken dry rub and some instant homemade ranch dressing mix. And I just want to mix that together. So I'm going to put about maybe a quarter of a cup of the chicken dry rub and about a quarter cup of the homemade ranch powder. Mix that together. I do want to dry the chicken off just a bit. And the breast, we have 4 pieces because I do cut them in half. So we have 2 drumsticks, 2 thighs, and 4 pieces of breast. Pat it dry. All right, let's put some seasoning on the skin side. So have all the skin sides up. You just want to rub it in liberally amount of seasoning. It's just going to add so much flavor. Alright, that looks good. Now we're going to put skin side down into the roasting pan and put some more seasoning on the other side. Oh, that was the perfect amount. Way to go. Let me wash my hands. Now we're going to take this outside. Okay, the sun is lined up perfect. You know what, family? I gotta put it in a smaller pan. Give me 1 second. So I'll put it in the stoneware pan because I know this one fits. It is hot in here, family. Okay, in it goes. I think I need to lower that back leg just a bit. All right, perfect. So I'll be coming out here about every 15 minutes, rotating the oven just a little bit to follow the sun as it moves. Lower the legs because the higher the sun is, the more flat the oven has to be. So about every 15 minutes we'll come out here and check on that. I am thinking an hour and a half, but I will keep track of the time and let you know. Now this is a whole cut up bone-in chicken. So when you're cooking chicken that still has the bone, it does take a little longer for it to come up to temperature. At least we don't have the oven in the house on. Unfortunately, the clouds rolled in and we were unable to finish cooking this outside. So we have to turn the oven on, get the house hot so we can have dinner. But it's okay, we can do this. I have the oven coming up to temperature at 400 degrees. We're going to put this casserole dish with the seasoned chicken in the oven. The chicken was outside in the sun oven for an hour and a half, but it kept being cloudy, sunny, and the temperature in the oven was going up and down between 200 to 300, 200 to 300. And when it got below 200, then I knew the sun's been gone for a while. I do want to go ahead and tempt it to see where we are, to see how much longer we have to cook it. So let's try a thigh. Nope, that's a breast. Yep, that's a breast. Let's try a breast. And white meat needs to be 160 degrees or higher. We're at 140. That is not ready. Let's check a thigh. Nope. Yep, that is a thigh. And dark meat, the thighs and the drumsticks needs to be 175 or higher. And that's also at 140. So I'm just going to put it in the oven. Let it cook for another 30 minutes. And then we'll check to see if it's ready. And in the meantime, we can go ahead and make the macaroni and cheese. So it's been in the oven for 30 minutes. I want to check the temperature. That's a piece of breast meat. That is reading over 160 degrees. Let's check a piece of thigh. Make sure we're not touching a bone. And that's well over 180 degrees. Chicken is done. I'm going to turn the oven off. But I'm going to put this back in the oven just so it stays hot while we work on the macaroni and cheese. So I weighed out 8 ounces of penne. I have that cooking in some boiling water. I want it al dente, but a little bit more done than al dente. So we're going to let that cook for a few minutes, and then we're going to make a butter flour roux. Add some milk. I have some pepper jack cheese. It's about 3 ounces. That's plenty. We'll use that. And I also have a little bit of Parmesan cheese. We'll put that in it also. So we'll have a 2 cheese blend macaroni and cheese. So we're going to start off with about a tablespoon of butter. Let's go ahead and add a half a teaspoon of salt and an 1/8 of a teaspoon of pepper. Tablespoon of butter, a tablespoon of flour. And about a cup cup to a cup and a half of milk. Once that starts thickening up, we'll add our cheese. We're going to put in the pepper jack and the Parmesan. Pepper jack going in. And the Parmesan. If I had to guess, I would say it's 1/4 cup. All right, let's taste it for seasoning. Doesn't need anything. It is perfect. We're going to go ahead and put in the cooked pasta. We're just going to let that cook for about 5 minutes on the stovetop, and then dinner will be ready. Turn it down to a medium low. Ah, cheesy goodness. And that's what we're having for dinner. I do want to taste this chicken because we did something different. We have our chicken dry rub plus that ranch dressing powder mix that we just made. Let's taste it. That is really good. And if the husband decides he want to have some green beans or some baked beans, I'll run to the pantry, grab that real quick. If not, this is what we're going to have for dinner. So I just want to say thank you again for joining us in another delicious meal. It's kind of spotty with a little bit of meals I made last weekend before I had to go to North Carolina, and meals that I made while I was home this weekend. If you don't mind, give this video a thumbs up. While you're at it, please subscribe. I would love to have you part of the Grammy family. And until next time, you have a blessed day. Bye, family. Nope, wrong one. But no. No, 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 no. No, no, no. We even you can't see me. Put a whole we put a stick of butter. Hold on. They're either and maybe open up a jar.